Welcome to the heart and soul of Outdoors Radio. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. Going into our 12th season, we continue to share facts and give advice on the great outdoors, where stories are told, outlaws are exposed, and knowledge is shared by guys who are dedicated to helping you become a better outdoorsman. Your hosts, Gary McCoy, with a CMA award to his credit, is an excellent deer hunter and angler who's not afraid to pull the trigger or swing a bass in the boat. Mike Eccles, boss tournament trail director and a natural-born Louisiana outdoorsman who loves a great duck hunt or pitching a jig on a cypress tree for lunker bass. Steve Graff, a two-sport Northwestern State graduate and Iowa Pro staffer who continues his pursuit of tournament-winning stringers. Last but not least, Jay Watley, who pushes all the buttons with skills unmatched and does his best to make this program the best outdoor show on radio. Now let's jump on the front deck, grab a rod, and make that first cast with the boys who know it all. Gary, Steve, Mike, and Jay.
Hey, thank you for tuning in. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger. Of course, the only one of us that knows it all is Graff. Just ask him.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
That's
isn't
why I'm in the
that a
middle.
fact, Eccles?
That's right.
Okay.
Well, everybody listens to the show knows better than that.
Yeah, it's Gary McCoy along with the old mud hen, Mike Eccles, and Mr. Know-It-All, Steve Graff. You know, the sad part is he really does know a lot of stuff. You know,
He does.
He does.
I act like I do anyway.
The one thing that blows me away.
But I never write with you guys.
No, and I think
we don't admit it.
Right.
That's it. That's all.
But
That's
I
all.
think that you will agree that we have always sung your praises
Yeah.
when it came to lining up guests
Yeah.
who have just won
Yeah.
major
Yeah.
national
Major events.
fishing and hunting events and things of that nature. You've never failed.
Well, so far.
And at 12:15 today,
Yep.
it's on the line.
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
We're going to see if he's on the line.
Well, exactly.
We're hoping he's on the line.
Edwin Evers just won $300,000. Won the Major League Fishing Red Cup Series Saturday.
Is that the Red Crest?
Red Crest. I'm
Crest.
sorry.
Okay.
I said Red
Crest.
Cup.
I didn't know.
Red Crest. No.
I've never understood their structure yet.
Yeah.
Well, is Red Crest? Is that like a sponsor, or is that
No.
Is that something they came?
I don't know where the name came.
The,
Well,
cre-
that's
the,
Edwin.
cre- the
Okay.
crest is a shield.
Right.
And the Red Crest is like winning the trophy. The crest, like in old England, the crest. Was
Oh, okay.
The most royal thing, the crest.
So the Red Crest would be indicative of the fact that this is the pinnacle
Yeah,
of
that's right.
Major League Fishing.
I thought
Now,
it was
now,
like a bird.
somebody that knows something probably knows I just made that.
Well,
up.
I didn't know if it was like Red Crest beer or something. You know, I didn't know. Anyway,
No, I can tell you it's not a beer.
Edwin
Now
Mike would know that.
Now you're in my playing field.
Evers is going to be on the show 12:15, and I'm assuming he's probably still on the cloud. Hey, this part of the show brought to you by Despino Tire, Exodus Batteries, Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Steve Nichols Specialty, Traco, and Primo Targets. Get ready for hunting season and sight in your rifle using the absolute best targets on the market today. It's Primo Targets. Targets designed to last. Go to Primo, and that's the Kunas spelling of Primo, Primeaux, targets.com to learn more.
Question for both you guys.
Okay.
Because you're more deer hunters than I am.
Well, before
I
we
don't
venture
hunt
off
as much
on
as I
this,
used to.
just what he said, before I'll forget it, Steve Nichols, Specialty Traco, also half owner of Bucks and Bulls Guides and Outfitters.
Amen.
Steve, I ran into his beautiful wife yesterday, Jeannie, in a restaurant,
Yeah.
and she said, as a matter of fact, she got a phone call from him. He's in Alaska right now, caribou hunting and fishing.
Wow.
You know,
We
it
need a
sucks
field
it
report.
sucks to be Steve
I
Nichols.
know.
We need
I
a
know.
field report.
Yeah.
It just sucks to be Steve
I
Nichols.
would like to say I feel sorry for him, but I can't do it with a straight face. So,
Getting back to my question,
Okay.
for I guess for both of y'all.
Yeah.
More for you, Gary, because you're more the deer hunter of the three of us.
Yeah.
Do you sight in your rifle first or start shooting your bow first? Do you sight in your rifle after you
Now,
finish
well,
shooting?
he doesn't own a bow, so I can answer that.
I do own a
Okay.
Do you?
bow, but I've gotten to the point to where I don't
You
bow
don't
hunt
hunt
anymore.
yeah.
But my oldest son, Buddy, still bow hunts. Now, when I did do both, because bow season came earlier
Right.
than gun season,
started shooting.
You start shooting the bow, and it takes longer to get yourself in, because just sighting in a bow, once it's sighted in, it pretty well stays on sight. It's
Exactly.
not like a rifle scope.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not the bow that gets out of whack. It's the shooter.
Exactly.
Oh, I agree.
And
Yeah, I
you
would agree
got to
with that.
practice. And I've seen guys do the coolest things. Get up on the roof of their house and shoot at a target
Right.
out in the yard. And to me, the toughest part of being an archer is not necessarily shooting the bow. It's gauging
Judging
how
distance.
far that
Yeah.
deer
No doubt. No
is.
doubt. No doubt.
And
Now, when you bow hunted, did you have marks out on the ground, like towards your feet or whatever?
I had
I've done that
I had
myself.
little landmarks around. Like I know that little oak right there
Right.
is 25 yards.
Right.
I know that if the deer gets out to that oak,
Yeah.
then that's 40 yards.
Right.
And 40 yards was as far as I would have ever.
That's as far as I would shoot.
It's
would
not
shoot.
as long. It's not as far as you're capable of hitting a deer with a bow, but it's pushing how far you can shoot at one and them not react to it and jump the string.
You know what's so weird is Buddy, my son, has been following a guy on YouTube for the last several years, and this guy is like one of the primo archers in the country. And he said that if you want to be deathly consistent at 50 yards, you have to practice at 100 yards.
That makes sense.
And I've watched my son there at my place. I have watched my son drill pie pans at 100 yards with a bow. I'm talking about just a regular recurve, not some kind of a
not a compound.
compound.
Now, question:
excuse me, with a compound, but not one of those. What do you call the ones with?
Recurve.
You pull the trigger
crossbow.
on crossbow. Yeah,
That's my next question.
Yeah.
You're going to my next question. Does a crossbow have the same kill distance as probably as a compound?
I would say
got
so.
more.
Yeah,
Does it
I'd
really?
say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has more energy, you think?
It's just there's very, very few people can hit a target 100 yards with a compound.
Yeah.
But it's not hard to do it with a crossbow with a scope on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'm shooting a crossbow, and I have to agree with you. And I've shot a compound.
Do you think that it's right that in Louisiana we've made it to where you can shoot the crossbow and not be handicapped?
I think is because the generation of hunters are getting older,
Mm-hmm.
and I think overall, I think it is a good thing.
What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think I think there's no difference in that and allowing you to shoot 35 Wheeling or the 444, 52, 98, whatever it is.
During
calling that
primitive weapon?
Yeah, primitive weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a high power just because it's center fire.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a single shot 30-06. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And why is that legal? All it is they're trying to entice more people to get involved, making it easier. And for the industry and hunting as a sport, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
As far as saying you're hunting primitive weapon with a crossbow
Yeah.
or a 444 or 35 Wheeling, you're not hunting with primitive weapons.
Right.
I've got a 444 now. Does that qualify as a primitive weapon?
444, yeah.
Yeah. I know the 4570 does.
No, okay, wait a minute.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
I
4570
I got
does.
a 35 Wheeling, that's all I know.
Yeah.
And I will say this, as a guy that shot both bows, I've shot a compound and I've shot the crossbow. The crossbow requires less practice from me.
Sure.
Well, in most cases you're shooting both
From
of
a
those.
rest.
Both of those you're
Yeah.
shooting
Oh, yeah.
a 90 grain bolt or a 90 grain arrow.
I shoot 90s.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that bolt, the one thing about that bolt is you're just about assured you're going through and through the animal.
Oh,
Unless,
yeah.
you hit a shoulder bone or
Now,
something.
you talk about practicing off the house. I used to do that when we lived in Sunset Acres. I shot my compound off the roof. That's when I was going to Colorado.
Scared the crap out of the neighbors over there.
Well,
didn't
no, because I was a lot safer shooting down towards the ground than I was in a bale of hay that was in between me and my neighbor's car. But one year I went to the what they call the game tracker, the string. It was like a bow fishing deal.
Yeah.
And it had a string looked like
That
dental
glows in
floss.
the dark.
No. It was a white string, just like dental floss, extremely strong, and it tied to the back of your to the knock on your arrow.
Yeah.
And if you hit a deer, if the arrow stayed in the deer, it would pull that string off, and it was just like watching a fish run with your line.
Track it.
And
manage to track.
yeah, and now if you miss it,
Had a big old reel on
Yeah,
on that thing.
and one time I was shooting it like pine cones on the ground,
Yeah.
and I was using this because it does affect your arrow flight to a
I would
degree.
think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And I shot and hit the ground. Instead of wanting to get down, I just pulled on the string. to try to pull my arrow out of the ground
Yeah.
and back up on the house.
Yeah.
And I pulled, and it got tighter, and it got tighter. And I said, this stuff has got to break. And I swear, this is one of the few times I'm telling you as accurate as I can, that arrow finally turned loose of the dirt
And flung at you?
and came back over the house. I like to ran off the side of the house trying to get away from the arrow. And I don't know whether it was coming knock first or broadhead first, but it almost ran me off the house.
It was coming to that idiot pulling the other end of the string.
Yeah, I mean, simple physics. Anybody that knew anything about physics would have said,
Hey, quit snatching on this.
yeah. Or,
Can you see the headlines?
or at least, yeah.
Eccles shoots himself.
Yeah, how do you shoot yourself with a bow?
They're not sure if it was suicide or just dumb.
You know, I don't know where. I don't know how he's lived this long.
I don't know either.
I don't have any. What are you? You're 62, 63 now.
Keep going.
Okay.
I think Charlotte needs to write a book.
I'm just telling. Oh my God. Okay. Here in just a few, at 11:15, we're going to have Lady Bass Pros Penny McCurdy and co-angler Noella McLaurin are going to be here. The Lady Bass Classics coming up on Caddo Lake. All the information about that, and I assume is that field closed, or are they still looking for anglers?
I don't know.
It says Lady Bass Classic. Is this a classic to their? I don't know.
Oh, if it's the classic, then certainly
yeah.
that and it's on Caddo.
Yeah.
Who knew that this was coming up? Yeah. Isn't that sad that we got a classic coming to Caddo Lake
and nobody knows.
and nobody knows about it?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they do now.
Somebody's got to
The
do
world knows.
somebody's got to do a better job of their end of publicity.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter who you are. You know when the FLW championship is coming up, there's emails and there's websites and there's promos on TV. You knew that the Red Crest championship was this past weekend.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't any way you would get away from that. If you turned on Outdoor Channel at all, there wasn't any way that you weren't going to know that was happening.
Yeah.
And then and FLW and the Elite Series.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they just need to make sure that they ring those bells of those who are
Especially
in
with
charge
social media the way it is today.
Oh my God!
It don't take long for word to get out.
August
11
National Shooting Sports Month.
Okay, 11:30.
Oh, at 11th. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Paul Davis is going to be on.
Yeah.
I was just there.
Yeah.
I was just there Thursday. I went and saw Paul.
Yeah.
And he called me Eccles.
Did he?
And when I go to Bayou Outdoor, they call me Graf.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Paul,
Good thing.
Paul, you know, I'll tell Paul, Paul, your memory is the second thing to go.
Yeah. But I got all my deer corn and everything. Paul asked me. He said, "Are you planting yet?" And I said, "No, I'm waiting. I'm waiting until next month. You know, late next month. We got to start getting some rain." But Paul's going to give us some ideas of some of the things that you need to start looking at, and some of the stuff that's really working well. Plus, is it tomorrow night? Is it tomorrow evening, or is it next week?
What?
The eating meeting there at Paul's Farm and Garden.
Ooh, it's in September.
Okay,
I think.
so it's not tomorrow.
Yeah, I think
I thought it was the week after Labor Day.
Okay.
He's gonna tell us.
Okay.
Tomorrow night though, and we need to still finish our guest, but tomorrow night is the Delta Waterfowl Banquet in Bossier Convention Center. Our doors open at 5:30.
Bossier Convention Center, is that what you said?
Yeah. Is
Okay.
that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Kent Eason is going to be back with us this week. He was here last week. Cajun Calls, Kent Eason. Last week he told us, you know, how to maintain your duck call, the things that you gotta look for, and the work on your read, and the things that who would have ever thought about. Well, this week he's actually going to give us some duck calling tips, and he's coming into the studio.
He's going to blow. I don't know where he's going to sit
Yeah.
in relationship to these microphones, but and he's an incredible caller, great caller.
Well, fantastic. Well, that's coming up as well. Also, the Bass Pro Shop Open Series, September the 14th. It's going to be on Rayburn. Are you going for this one?
Yes, I will be there September 14th, and also the day after, V&M will have their Customer Appreciation Tournament on the 15th out of Castle Boykin.
Now, what is the Bass Pro Shop Open? What is that?
That's ABA, American Bass Anglers
gotcha.
Open Series by Bass Pro Shop, and it is a great circuit. It's run by Chris Wayan.
Quiz
Way.
My brother-in-law won one of those ABA tournaments last year on Bistineau.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that Nick LeBrun's cut his teeth on coming up, and a lot of guys are fishing this circuit. It's a really good
And
circuit.
let's don't forget 12:15.
12:15. This is what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
He just won the MLF Red Crest. Edwin Evers is going to be on the show with us at 12:15, so make sure you're tuned in for that. The streak is on the line, baby. What is this, 10 years now?
I don't know, but
Somewhere along in there.
I just hold my breath every time.
I don't know what kind of pictures
10
Graf
years
has of these
with a
people.
perfect record. When is Graf going to fall?
Yeah.
We are hooking up and tracking down. 11:30, the Tiger. I just climbed on whoever's in charge of the lady basketball.
You did?
I did. Because nobody knows about it.
Hey, Brian. Yes, sir.
And that's
You
their
need
fault.
once we start, you may have to adjust that camera back a little bit to make sure we get them in the shot.
Yeah, real. My feet are swinging. I mean,
Here we go, guys.
they're-
5 seconds.
You're not going to say anything.
No.
You know that this is your third.
Hey, I'm,
You're friends, Daddy. You're friends. Hey, thanks for tuning in, hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger. It's Gary McCoy, the old Ranger Iowa pro staffer Steve Graff, the old mud hen Mike Eccles is here. And for the latest outdoor news and information, you'll want to make sure you check out our website, HUTDshow.com, a site dedicated to the great outdoors. This segment brought to you by Daiwa Rods and Reels, V&M Baits, J&J Exterminating, Stingray Line Cutter, and the Bob Seeley Big Bass Splash Series, where amateurs win money like the pros.
The future of tackle storage is here. Groove, G-R-U-V, fishing is changing the norm. Innovation and design using silicone anchoring technology, making you more organized, and I'm going to expound on that, and efficient on the water. New for 2019, launch pads, giving you quick and easy access to tackle. Designed to save you time, and it saves you money. Tackle storage done right. Go to Groove, G-R-U-V, fishing.com to learn more. I have the Groove jig box.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the only thing in my boat that's organized. That's it. Everything else is in Bayou Outdoor bags and sacks and Crown Royal bags and stuff like that. Every one of my jigs are in, and you can turn it upside down, and not a one of them comes out.
Yeah.
That is the best.
Now, the
storage.
only thing I'll say is sometimes they are hard to get out of there. When that thing's brand new,
Oh, really?
there's no slack in there, and I mean, sometimes
If you're having trouble pulling the jig out of a rubber box, you're having trouble setting the hook. You need to go back to the gym.
You better go to the gym. Yeah. Have you ever y'all used the launch pads?
Not yet.
Well,
yeah.
you're changing boats, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
wait. But you
Well, I don't have a boat.
that's true.
Yeah.
He's waiting on a boat, too.
Yeah.
Well, put it on the hood of your truck or something.
Okay.
Put some jigs on it.
Maybe I can put.
Hey, y'all, we got company. Be nice. We got company.
All right.
Let me introduce our guest today. Lady Bass Pros Penny McCurdy and Noella McLaurin are both here, and neither are strangers to the program. Thank y'all for coming. You've added so much grace
And thank you
elegance.
for-
Yeah, what do we got?
What did she make?
Oh my gosh.
Penny, is that chicken enchiladas?
Is that right?
Say carrot cake.
That's okay.
I
Homemade.
thought it was
couldn't tell.
rice pudding.
I thought it was chicken enchiladas.
That.
See?
I
Carrot
love
cake.
carrot
Oh.
cake.
Carrot cake and spice cake are my two favorites.
Okay, you know what? Now Eccles just brought up something really good.
Really?
If I get into either one of y'all's bass boats, is it like organized, color coordinated, everything's in its little place and where it's supposed to
It
be?
depends if it's before or after a tournament.
Okay, but I mean, right before the tournament, right before before everything's hit the deck.
Yeah.
I mean everything. What about you?
Yes,
Yes.
I have my soft plastic colors, all the same colors go in this
Yeah.
box and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I
Yeah.
can't-
Now,
that's
during
why
the
I'm-
tournament, it's bad.
See, now I
Top
now I
order.
know why y'all think I'm like a woman, because you've been in my boat.
Yes,
I am.
Graphs is the same
Yeah,
way.
I am as organized as a man can possibly
Oh, and I'm
get.
telling you, he, those little things, the little stamper thing.
Yeah, little thing you print out the
You
tag.
print out
you know?
tags and stuff.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah,
all mine's labeled.
Label maker.
Yeah,
Label
label
the little
maker.
Label maker.
like
Yeah.
3/8 ounce weights.
Yeah.
3/8 ounce, or 3/8 ounce tungsten.
Yeah, quarter
3/8 ounce lead.
Yeah, quarter ounce lead. Yeah.
I
mine
have
written
that
on
with my Sharpie.
Okay.
Sharpie
I did mine
marker.
with
Yeah.
crayon.
Yeah.
See, y'all are just so much better at that than we are. Now, I will say this. I mentioned a minute ago, and I don't blame you guys, but I blame whoever the powers are of the Lady Bass Classic that for some reason we've got – I mean, this is a championship. This is a classic. This is on Caddo Lake. And not everybody's not talking about it.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen anything about it on Facebook. If I didn't know y'all were going to be on this show, it would have been – I'd have never heard. And that's sad.
Does the
Well,
Shreveport Times
that falls on us because wherever the classic goes or a tournament goes, the local ladies are the ones that are supposed to do all the advertising. And I thought we had advertised pretty good on Facebook, but
Yeah.
I guess not.
Well, rest
So-
assured, the world knows now because you're on Hooking Up and Tracking.
Exactly.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Now,
So-
when is the tournament?
September the 19th through the 21st.
Okay.
And the ladies will start arriving the 13th or 14th.
Pre-fishing
September.
starts when?
The
15th.
15th, whatever
Okay.
that Saturday is.
Okay.
Before.
How do you get to this event? You have to qualify?
You have to qualify. It's the top 18 boaters and the top 18 co-anglers will be fishing this tournament. So
All right,
And
now.
Penny qualified because she is the reigning classic champ. She won the classic last year on Bull Shoals, so
Hey.
she qualified
thank goodness
that
because
way.
I didn't do good this year.
So it's in your backyard. You got a little pressure on you now.
Lots of pressure. I actually like fishing off better than I do.
Really?
I can
Yes,
relate to
absolutely.
that.
Now, what about
Yes.
you? I mean, y'all are. I mean, Caddo Lake's home.
Yes,
It
and
is.
that's a lot of pressure on you. I'm with her. I would much rather fish off than I had my home
Really?
lake.
Because that old scenario comes in your head. God, I should have started over there at
Yeah.
Old Folks Playground
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of over there at Cool Point. God, why didn't
Why?
I start over there?
Why did I run to the river? Why did
Yeah,
I run to Jones
exactly.
Row?
Because you know too much.
Yes.
So are
Know
y'all?
too
Are
much.
y'all? Is it dead water right now
No.
on the lake?
No.
So you can. There might
We-
be ladies in town right now that are
Yes,
pre-fishing.
I know that several ladies are coming in next week.
Yeah.
So some of them are hiring the guides,
Yeah.
to show them around and stuff. So
What do you think about that?
I personally, when I go to other lakes,
Mm-hmm.
if I have never been to that lake, I hire a guide.
Do you?
But my main reason is for safety.
Yeah.
If I don't know the lake, if I'm not familiar with it, I get a guide. Now I do like for them to show me what they're biting and
Right, of course.
where to go or whatever. But I like to know how to run the lake.
Yeah.
That's my main.
Now, will you, if you are with a guide, and this guide pulls up at a underwater ridge somewhere out in the middle of the wide open, will you save that waypoint on your phone?
Well, I try to go in my boat.
Okay.
So she can just punch it in.
I know where that one is.
I reach over and hit.
Yeah.
Mark.
Now, see, this answers the age-old question: are women as sorry as men are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
They've answered that
Hey,
question.
I'm paying that $350.
That's
I'm gonna
right.
put that mark. I'm
Well,
gonna
you
push
know,
that mark.
in BASS, they eliminated all that this year.
Oh, did
no
they
more
really?
help, no more calling Johnny Geis at Lake Fork
Really?
anymore. They're
Yeah.
not allowed to do that anymore.
Oh wow.
So-
Yeah. Well, we're not at that point yet.
Okay, now you've got top 18 boaters,
Yes.
top 18 co-anglers
Yes.
that are going to be there, and both of you are there.
Yes,
Yes.
And you're nervous?
yes,
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I just don't see y'all as
Yeah.
being nervous.
Well, there's everybody you run into y'all have got this. You have got this.
Oh, yeah.
They just don't understand.
Yeah.
How,
Well,
you know,
now is this a angler co-angler competition?
No, yeah, it is. But
yes.
Noella went as a boater this year, and she came out swinging. She came out swinging because she got second in, I think, North Carolina, then fourth the next tournament. I'm way down there. I think I got 20-something the first
So
tournament.
you both
or what-
qualified as
Yes.
anglers, but
Yes.
you'll have a co-angler in the boat?
Yes.
So you're not
yes.
fishing as a co-angler this year?
No,
No,
she's a
this was
boater.
my rookie
Oh, 'cause
season.
I was going to ask
Wow.
you. I thought she was a co-angler. I was going to ask you because
Yeah.
that's a different world, isn't it? When you
It is.
get in somebody else's boat and you're hoping that they're on something because it's out of your control as
Right.
a co-angler.
It is, but I'm glad that I went as a co-angler because I think it's made me a better boater.
Oh, no doubt.
So
On
it taught
all
you about
aspects.
how to treat your co-angler.
How to treat my
Yeah.
co-angler,
Exactly.
and I think, you hear talk of some people can be upset with their boater. Well, I can guarantee you that there's not a boater out there that says, today I am not going to find fish.
Yeah.
Today I am
Yep.
not going to put those girls on fish. I think that I am just going to fun fish today. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We work our rear ends off to find the fish.
Yeah.
And so a lot goes into it. So I think I have a greater appreciation for a boater as well because it takes a lot
Yeah.
when you are working the front of the boat and you're those long
Yeah.
hours that you put in and the weather, you don't have the option of sitting down because you're tired.
Right.
Rain, wind, you're on the trolling motor. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
What hurts? What hurts?
Physically?
Yeah, and you've been pre-fishing 3 or 4 days. What hurts?
Yeah.
Well,
When it's
yeah,
all said and done.
hooks you in the head. That hurts. What are you
What
talking about?
doesn't?
Yeah.
Everything
That's
hurts.
a better question.
Yeah.
Depending on the weather, we were in Toledo Bend for our second one, and I think I left my kidney out there during pre-fishing because
Been
a
there.
girl and I decided we were going to go, and it took us an hour to get where we were going to go. The wind was up so high,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
I got to
I was so shocked because first year being a boater on Toledo Bend, as rough as it can get, and they ran from 6 Mile to San Miguel.
Holy
Whoa.
cow!
And
That's a
I'm
run.
like,
That's a
past
run.
San Miguel. We went
Yeah.
past San
I
Miguel.
said, what
That's
were
why
y'all
my kidney's
thinking?
still
You
there.
go ahead.
What y'all
Go ahead and say
thinking?
12, 15.
Yeah, you went
We
to
know
12,
where you
15,
went.
didn't you?
Yeah.
I have no idea where I was.
Have you heard of Blue Lake?
No.
Okay, well, she was right there around
They had
Blue
to be
Lake.
at 12,
yeah.
15.
Okay, so let's get back to the basics of this. Public invited.
Oh yes.
Okay,
Yes,
I mean,
most definitely.
launches each morning. Again, the dates are
19th through the 21st. of
okay.
September.
Now, will all 18 anglers and co-anglers compete all 3 days?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
And
it,
it's fishing out of where?
Earl G.
G.
Williamson.
Okay.
okay, so you're going to launch every morning.
Yes.
Safe flight.
Safe flight and the check-in is at 3
Okay.
every day.
So, what do you think it's going to take to win?
Oh, it's been so tough. I've been doing pre-fishing and catching a lot of small ones.
Yeah.
You know, I think I don't know.
I say
Really?
I'm gonna say 36 to 40 for 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Oh, well, that's. I mean, that's still that's not a shabby day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're talking
Yeah.
12 to 14 pounds.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, does the classic? Do they kind of shy away from a slot lake like that normally?
They did at first, but we've got the special rulers where we can measure them in the boat. They will still count.
Oh.
Paper
Yes.
fish. Yes,
Okay.
paper
We can
fish
bring in the
tournament.
overs or unders, but we can measure the slot fish and add that to our score.
Hey.
Okay, so you say I've got 9 pounds on slot fish, and what kind of increments? I've never understood that. Do they say you've
Inches, so many inches equals so many pounds,
Yeah,
right?
right. Well,
Is
the
it
golden
that-
rule,
is
we
it-
all have a golden rule, and on the golden rule, it gives that estimate. So, however
So,
long the
but
fish
what
is,
is that estimate? Is it 9 pounds 3 ounces, or 9 1/4, 9 1/2, 9 3/4? What's the breakdown?
Does it break it
on-
down into a 16th ounce
Yes.
increments?
Yes, it does.
Oh,
It breaks
okay.
it all the way
Yeah.
down.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you come in and you say I've got 9 pounds 6 ounces on the ruler, then they weigh your other 2 fish and add
Yes.
that to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay, that's
So that helps
awesome.
us, yeah.
Plus, now what if somebody catches, 5 overs? You can't weigh 5 overs.
No, 4. You can only weigh.
Right.
overs.
What I'm saying. So you still got
Hopefully
you
we got a
can't have
slot
one
fish.
on the ruler.
Hopefully we got a 17 3/4
Okay.
that we can write down on the paper.
Right.
And bring those other 4.
Okay.
you know.
Now,
Okay.
from day to day, y'all are going to probably start off the first day with whoever angler of the year is going out first.
Yes.
the next day, does it stay like that, or does it go down? Whoever's leading the tournament, second day is first out.
I think the computer draws the second
Computer
Okay.
draws
Oh, it's a
second
draw.
day, and then
Okay.
the third day is
how you
who,
ended.
how you ended.
Okay.
Yeah, first.
Yes.
Okay, we're getting ready for it. September
19th through the 21st.
20 and 21. Lady Bass Anglers Classic, Caddo Lake, Earl G. Williamson.
Right.
Safe light. We're going to take off. Weigh-ins about 3
Yes.
each afternoon.
Yes.
Thank
Is
y'all.
it a drive-through
Yes.
weigh-in?
We talked about that, and I think we did the drive-through before, but I think Cheryl's wanting to just bring our
Yeah.
Okay.
the-
Sure.
yeah. But
Do y'all need me to come hold your bag for you?
yeah, come on.
Okay.
Because this gonna be big.
I'm telling you. I've never held a classic bag.
Yeah,
before
there you go.
in
Be
my
your
life.
first. There you
know,
go.
Just saying.
And-
Y'all go hold the bag. I'm gonna hold this pan in front of you.
Yeah.
And I will say this: we're still looking for sponsors. You know, it's been tougher for the women to get off the
Certainly,
ground and
yeah.
everything, and we're growing in numbers. You know, last year for
Graf
our
has a
reg-
lot of money.
Our regular tournament, our regular tournament was 18. Well, we have 18 that qualified for this year, so we've been running close to 30 now.
Yeah.
And so we're growing and growing. So
Fantastic. Who would somebody contact if they want to sponsor?
me or Noella.
Okay.
And we're on Facebook. I've got my number if somebody wants to call. We're still looking for some sponsors or whatever. But
Or you can
I
contact-
do want to mention that Old School Outdoors is behind us this year. They will be at the weigh-in with cameras. They will be videoing, trying to get the word out. They're trying to help us get the word out because we don't have a lot of money for advertisement. So they're trying to help us by putting a video up and all that
Fantastic.
for us. So
Way to go, boys. I'm,
If you
I'm
want
proud of
to,
them.
and if anybody out there listening wants to sponsor it, contact Hooking Up and Tracking Down. We'll pass you
exactly.
on.
Yes.
And we'll send you the other half of the money.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, make sure that you show up and support them. Lady Bass Pros, Penny McCurdy, and Noella McLaurin, thank y'all so much.
Thank
So
y'all.
Y'all always
Thank
make
you
it
for
so
having
much, it smells nice when they're in here.
Yeah, really.
You know, and
It smells like carrots.
carrot cake, yeah.
Yeah.
We're hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all.
I was going to ask you, the truck they had on Cane River, what was that all about? And that was another one never publicized. It was horrible.
Some ladies got together and wanted to start doing a federation, kind of a break off from the LBAA. No, it wasn't us.
If you need to add a spot in there to buy you another 30 seconds, you
So
can do
they
that.
started a federation. It's Mississippi, Texas, and Louisiana. And so they started, they've had a few tournaments this past
I
year.
mean, 6 anglers showed up for that.
Yeah.
It's been chaotic. I think it's been pretty chaotic from what I understand, and rules change per tournament, and so,
I fished with my cousin Pambody on Caddo, and I had to beg for a copy of the rules. And I finally got the rules, and it was a team tournament. One of the anglers came from Texas, one of the pros came from Texas and fished. She had the biggest bag for a pro, and she didn't even place and stuff. It was since it was a team tournament, and so
30 seconds, guys. Call's good. Well, if you ever want to have a tournament in Natchitoches, let me know.
okay.
Hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. It's Gary McCoy, the old Ranger to Iowa pro staffer Steve Graff, the mud hen Mike Eccles is here, and Jay shaved off all of his facial hair, and on his head too.
And grew 4
You know,
inches.
Yeah, he looks just like Brandon now.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that. You know, Jay, you're slipping. Hey, this part of the show is brought to you by Spro Lures, Cypress Knee Outdoors, Nichols Department Stores, and Bellevue Meat Processing, makers of the best sausage on the planet, and a proud supporter of the Hook It Up and Track It Down show. It's Bellevue Meat Processing. Yes, sir.
That's right. And Jimmy Granger, Natchitoches Ford, the newly owned and acquired Jimmy Granger, Natchitoches Ford, with hunting season right around the corner. Now is the time to purchase that new Ford truck. Models include the Ranger, F-150, Super Duty, or maybe interested in the F-150 Raptor, designed to make your off-roading easier. So make that short trip to the woods this season in a new Ford truck from Jimmy Granger's Natchitoches Ford, located at Highway 1 Bypass in Natchitoches.
And on the phone, the Primo Targets hotline with us right now. It's our buddy Paul Davis from Paul's Farm and Garden, just off North Market in Shreveport, just north of downtown Shreveport. I was over there the other day. Paul, corn right now, is it still $6.75 for a 50-pound bag?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's my question.
Hold on, Gary. Did you call Mike the Mud Hen?
Yeah, that's what he is.
Yeah.
You know, he earned that. But I told him that you said you called me worse. You called me Eccles.
Oh.
I did do that.
Yes, you did.
But when you were in here, Gary,
Yeah.
did you see that young girl in the yoga pants?
No.
Well, she was asking about you when you left. I told her who you were. She said she thought her grandfather knew you.
We need to have Paul on more often.
That's why I buy all my stuff there. You know, I get treated so nice. No, Paul, you know, this is that time of the year when
$6.75 a bag, by the pound at $6.49 a bag.
Okay, well that's what
50-pound bag.
Does the price of corn change much between now and let's say December?
No, it generally won't. What generally happens is we're paying the highest price for corn of the entire year up until about the middle of August. And then harvest starts and the price goes down and we get some bookings and stuff. And generally middle of August and August we'll book corn through the end of the year, and that'll be the best price all year long. Right now we've booked and we're at this price we're at now for at least the next 30 days or so.
Okay.
But myself, see, most of the corn around here hasn't even been harvested, and not that the corn around here makes a big dent in the price, because although it looks like a lot of corn, this is not very much corn to the grand scheme of things. It was raised all over the country. So, but everybody was late planting corn because of the weather. So that's part of the reason they haven't started harvesting here yet. And the same thing up in the Midwest. So I'm hoping that when they get the harvest started up in the Midwest, that the numbers will be better than the prognosticators predict, and that maybe we'll even get a better price a month from now. That's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed on.
Paul, if the corn has not been harvested locally and the flooding in the Midwest cut down on a lot of corn that should have been planted, where is the corn that you're getting right now? Where is it coming from?
Well,
Ruston. That's what it said on the bag.
No doubt. No. Now, where they're getting it from, it may be local because there are some people cutting local, but probably South Louisiana, South Texas, South Mississippi, somewhere around in there would be my guess, or even the central part. I mean, they're well into the harvest down in the middle part of the state.
Well, I'm kind of chasing a rabbit on this, but has ethanol driven up the price of corn that, you know, hunters are having to buy?
There are people that know more about that than I do. There was certainly a time 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where that was what was to blame on that. Personally, myself, I think the whole ethanol thing's already kind of been factored in and come out in the wash. I don't think that's directly. I mean, there's got to be an effect of it. There's no doubt, but I think it's been absorbed, or most of that effect has been absorbed by now.
Okay, I want to get back to the deer hunting. You know, because you also sell a lot of rice bran. Somebody asked me the other day, my buddy Mark Weldon, who's probably listening right now. He said, "What rice bran do you use the most, Gary?" And I said, "Well, you know, I like the peanut butter flavor, but what flavor or just au naturel, what do you sell the most of for deer hunters?"
We sell more persimmon.
Do you?
But the truth of the matter is that, I mean, they love rice bran flavored rice bran.
Yeah.
It's just like rice bran. So I mean, and to be honest with it, I don't know that it's that flavoring is the word. It's scented.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it's flavored. I've tried it.
Well, with
I
no
forgot my
teeth,
lunch
that's-
one morning, and
No, you don't have any teeth. You've got to do something like that you can't chew anything up.
well, that's the reason I do the rice bran, not the corn.
Well, you know, Paul,
right.
when it comes to planning, most of us really are not planning for the overall health of the herd like we should, because then we'd be out there in March and April with all the rest of the farmers, and we'd be planting stuff. Most of the time, we're planting something for an attractant. We want to get those deer coming in. And you've got all the big brands. You've got Biologic and Tecumate, and you've got every kind of stuff known to man. When it comes to around here, an overall attractant, is there anything better than just a plain old bag of buck forage oats?
Hard to beat. Had that conversation with a man this morning about he just believes buck forage oats is the best thing there is. They'll walk over other oats to get to it, and I believe that too. I was a little slow to come around on that, but I've had too many people tell me, and I am 100% convinced. I don't know if it's got to do sugar content or what it is, but they like the buck forage oats better than any other kind of oat. They eat them better. Now, as far as growing, I think they all grow similarly. You know, they're all going to grow well in our climate, but they seem to like the buck forage oats better. And I personally think you can't go wrong with wheat. I mean, wheat's hard to beat also.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when it's cold and everything's brown and you got a green patch, I don't know that they care too much about what's in there as long as it's a green patch and something they can eat. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with the weather we're having now, we really have had a fairly wet summer compared, and the temperatures and stuff. When do you recommend that we actually put in the ground our food plots, if it's going to be buck forage oats or racehorse oats or whatever? When should we plant around here?
Okay. Probably the best time to plant would be sometime in October. But
really,
but nobody recommends that because bow season's already started. You don't want to be in the woods messing up somebody else's hunt.
I don't care about them.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just an honest answer. Probably the weather conditions and everything that factors in is probably be better in October. But most people, and we recommend, are going to plant it in September. What I've told people for years is, wait till it looks like you're going to be able to catch a rain in September. Anytime after Labor Day you think you can catch a rain, let's get after it.
So, I mean, because the moisture right now, there's just nothing there. If you planted right now, it's going to sit there and the crows are going to eat half of what you planted before you get enough rain, unless you're able.
Where were you at last night?
Yeah,
it rained 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah. Dude, do you realize how little water you really got?
Yeah,
last night.
But
if you didn't already have it down, it wouldn't do any good. But see, that's the thing. I try to deter people from planting in mid-August. I mean, we've been selling some of this stuff since the 10th of August, and there are people, that's their only chance to go. They know they're going to be out of town or what have you, and I get that. But if you've got a choice, I wouldn't do it then, even if you catch the rain. Now, last year was perfect. Remember, it started raining about the 10th of August and never did quit.
Yeah.
You know, and it was kind of, unseasonably cool through August and September and October. But that was an aberration. But most years, if you were able to catch a rain sometime the second half of August, middle of August, or whatever, and you were able to get some of this up, if we have a typical September where it could be upper 90s to 100 degrees until the second or third week of September, it's going to burn up. At that point anyway. So that's why I say wait till you see you will get a good chance for rain anytime after Labor Day, because generally that chance of rain is coming with a cool front.
Okay,
and then we're going to start having some cooler temperatures. Cool, not quite so hot and a little cooler at night, and then that stuff can survive. We
got 60 seconds for this answer. Okay, I want to say that I'm on a budget.
60 seconds.
I'm on a budget. I've got $400. Am I better served to spend that $400 buying lime or fertilizer? I can't afford both.
That you'd be better served in most of the environments you're planting food plots in to buy lime. But I mean, the fertilizer is so important. But most of those woody environments, you're going to be acidic type ground, and you need the lime. If you don't get the pH right, nothing's going to grow. But the fertilizer is incredibly important. Now, we've got a fertilizer with lime in it.
I was going to ask you if you had that.
It's like 60% lime. So for every 100 pounds you put out, you're putting out 40 pounds of nutrients and 60 pounds of lime.
Okay, Paul, we're almost out of time. You've got an event coming up that you want people to know about.
Oh, yeah. Next Thursday night, September 5th, we're going to do what we've done almost every year past 6 or 8 years. We're going to have a little eating here for the deer hunters, or anybody's invited for that matter, but we're going to have some reps here that we buy some of our seeds and some of our attractants and stuff from, and that you can ask questions. We're not going to give a speech. We're not going to bore anybody. Anybody can show up about 6:30 to 7 o'clock, eat a hamburger, eat some down-home sausage, eat a hot dog, what have you, sit around and visit, and good chance you're going to win a door prize, something maybe, nothing smaller than a bag of corn. So almost everybody gets a door prize.
Is the one and done people going to be there?
No. I don't know what happened to those people. They sold that. They sold that thing.
Okay.
You talking about the feeder?
The feeder, the one and done feeder.
Yeah. He sold it to somebody, and I don't have a source for him anymore.
Okay.
I still say the best feeder I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I don't have a source for him.
What time are you starting next Thursday, Paul?
We'll start. We're going to try to have food ready at 6:30.
Okay, so be there 6 o'clock ish, somewhere along in there. Get a chance to visit with some of the reps.
You better get there at 6 o'clock to have a seat.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're exactly right.
Hey, Paul, Steve Graphic, I enjoyed visiting with you today.
I'd say this is one of our better interviews.
I have 4 or 5 questions for you, but that's okay. I'll get to you next time.
Paul Davis.
Call me later.
Paul's Farm and Garden.
Just because you own the show, you think you ought to talk?
Hey, Paul, thank you, brother. We appreciate you.
You betcha. I don't know if I'll be throwing Mark Wilderness' name around on the radio. He's
coming to see you. I will say that.
That's rough company to keep.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, thank you, brother.
See you later.
Here in just a minute, our Exodus Batteries Hot Topic of the Week. We're going to get Graf to answer this one. Which is better, power poles or talons?
Yeah.
We got the facts for you.
We got the facts, Jack.
Hook it up, track it down, 11:30, The Tiger. Look here, you have found the absolute greatest outdoor show on the radio. It's Hooking Up and Tracking Down. You want to make sure you check out our video page for fishing tips and techniques. Or if you missed a show, go to HUTDshow.com and click on the show. Of course, we're also going to have a rundown on there when LSU just whoops up on
Texas.
Northwestern.
Oh, well, now that's now we need to talk about Texas. Northwestern's going to as a gimme win for LSU, but the Demons are going to show up.
Okay. And if you missed some of those great interviews that you might have missed, also just click on the show, HUTDshow.com. This segment presented by Sam Rayburn Marina Resort, Paul's Farm and Garden. Thank you again, Paul Davis, for spending some time with us.
Yeah.
Exodus Batteries and Candyman Pet Lodge. Thank you, Wayne Neeson. There is no better place for man's best friend. Go to CandymanPetLodge.com to learn more. And the Exodus Batteries hot topic of the week, which is better, power poles or talons? You have talons.
I'm
assuming you have found something that says talons are better.
No, it's Chevrolet or Ford.
Okay.
That's how I'm
okay.
looking at
I could go with that.
And I was very unbiased. I mean, I do have talents, but there are pros and cons for both of these. And we're going to go over both of them because there are a lot of people that I've had co-anglers get in the boat with me and say, man, why do you like your talons better? Well, here's why. And I explain to them why. And they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And then when you talk about the power poles, there are pluses for power poles too. So, but anyway, power poles, the pros, first of all, less obstructive when deployed. In other words, when they deploy, they disappear. The whole unit is in the water.
Yeah.
Talons, that pole's still standing up
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, your co-angler can find that a lot with a half-ounce jig.
Oh, yeah. Theirs is a telescopic system. The talons is telescopic and goes straight down in the water. Power poles do reach back, and they disappear into the water. Number two, easier to know when it is deployed, of course, because if you can't see them, that means they're in the water. And the next one, more reliable, especially in salt water. Now, that I did not know. My brother actually has one, and he's got a power pole on his rig. But supposedly they're less conducive to corrosion
from the salt water.
From the salt water.
Huh.
Lighter. Power poles tend to be a little lighter than the talons.
Yeah.
And outstanding customer service.
No. Talons seem to be a little lighter than the. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Shut up, Eccles.
Yeah.
What page are y'all on?
Yeah. What show you at? All right. Now the cons. Mike, you do the cons.
I'm not talking.
Do you know where we're at?
The negatives for power poles. Hydraulic pumps take up more space, and I guess that's in the back where your batteries and stuff are.
Yeah, they have to be installed.
Okay. If hydraulics go out, the poles will self-deploy and drag.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That can't be good.
No.
Have your poles and drag. Must be secured before running or trailering.
If your hydraulics go out.
Yeah.
I've seen guys come off and they're pulling up the ramp and their poles are dragging up the ramp.
See, when I pull up the ramp, I always bungee my power poles.
That's what you should do.
Yeah.
If the hydraulics go out.
Well, I've never had that issue,
Yeah,
but
right.
it's just a standard practice for me.
Well, that's good practice.
Okay, power poles are a little harder to install.
Yeah.
And their deepest model will only reach 10 feet.
Yeah.
That's critical.
And the noise factor, power poles supposedly are noisier than the talons.
Yes. Now, that has changed in recent.
Because I can put mine on slow speed, and I'll never hear them hit the water.
Well, that has changed in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Talons used to be louder, but
Yeah.
now they're so quiet you can't hardly hear nothing.
Yeah.
Now, the Minn Kota pros. Gary, you want to do the pros?
Electrical system takes up less space by eliminating pumps.
In other words, everything in the Talon is self-contained inside that unit. There is nothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's nothing installed, no pumps inside the back well. All there is cable going to your battery. That's it.
Are they wired directly to the hot side of your battery?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, now each one comes into do they have an inline fuse on them?
Yes.
Okay. So you could have a problem
You could.
with a fuse or some kind of an issue like that.
Probably so.
That would be the extent of my fixing one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Replace
exactly.
fuse.
Yeah. Now, what about with that said? What about usage? You know, if you're fishing a lot of cypress trees and you're deploying them a lot, do they take up a lot of battery usage?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're not gonna run yourself out
No.
of live well.
You got a bad battery or something like that's
Okay,
happening.
gotcha. Easy to move from boat to boat. Easy to remove from the boat when not needed. Quieter than a comparable power pole. They have models that deploy as deep as 15 feet. Now,
Yeah.
this is the pros
Yeah.
of the Minn Kota Talon. I didn't know they'd go 15 feet.
Yeah. I have a 10-foot model.
Well, now see,
They go 10, 12, and 15.
I've only got the 8-foot power poles.
Right.
But I do know they go to 10 now. Now, will a Talon, let me give you the last pro. All components are self-contained in one complete package, and you mentioned that.
Right.
Now, with that power pole, I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody that broke one. even if
Oh,
they
you're talking
crank
about the pole itself.
the pole itself.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody that broke one. Now, I've heard, that on occasion those brackets get kind of loose, and
Yeah.
I'm constantly checking mine to make sure that everything's still tight.
Right.
Can you break a talon?
They're made out of the same material.
Okay.
They're both identical.
Okay.
As far as material.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean you can break one. Either one of them you can break, but it takes a lot of pressure to break one of them puppies.
Okay.
You'd have to almost take off with that sucker buried in, and you have to.
Well, I
floor
mean,
it. It's happened.
I have forgotten that mine were down
Yeah,
and cranked
it's
up
happened.
and started and go, what is wrong with my motor? And then realize poles are down.
Yeah, and that does happen. Here's the other. This is one of the negatives for guys that fish tournaments. If you're lined up, all the boats are banked, and they're all along the bank. We all do that every
Yeah.
tournament. The power poles, when they go down, they reach back behind the boat.
Yeah.
And if I've seen this happen twice on Sam Rayburn, people have actually outed over them because they never saw them.
Now, I heard this.
Talons, that won't happen.
Pete Daniels told me one time that on occasion, you can have a situation with a power pole where someone else's, because they're on a radio signal, that someone else's radio signal can deploy or raise your power poles.
Really?
If you happen to be, because there's only so many of those frequencies available.
I could see that happening.
And it would be like you taking your garage door opener, and if you drive through enough neighborhoods, you're going to open somebody's garage door.
I'm going to have to start trying that.
Well, I'm just telling you, it's possible. And so Pete always says, when you put your boat on the trailer, turn that main power off. If you've got a breaker switch, or I've got a knob, turn, because you don't want your boat sitting in the parking lot and all of a sudden somebody
pulls up beside you and parks and hits the pole.
And right.
Yeah, I can see
he
that
said,
happening.
because that has happened at big events before.
Right.
Well, there's, and look, have we done the con?
No, we've not.
No.
Okay.
No, the cons less on the Minn Kotas. They're less reliable than a power pole overall. Now, I will say this, and this is strictly me saying this. I have never, and I repeat that.
So disregard.
In two sets that I've had on two Ranger boats, and that's all I've ever had, I've never had the first problem with any of my talons ever. Never, not once. But there was a guy at Cane River a couple of weeks ago. He was having trouble with them deploying, and I said, I have never had that problem.
Really?
Said, yeah. He said there are times.
So give us your conclusion.
The electrical system is also more susceptible to saltwater damage on the Minn Kota talons again. And according to some guys, they say the Minn Kota talons are heavier than the power poles. Conclusion, this comparison should cover most of the basic details necessary to start coming to a conclusion on what works best for your boat. While talons have a slight edge, there are good reasons to use either option depending on your personal needs and preferences. And that's the key right there. What do you need them for, and how are you going to use them?
I'm going to say, that I don't see anything here that would say hands down one's better than the other.
Exactly.
I will say this. I have gotten into tight spots before. Fishing, like an island. You get up in a big thicket, like on Bistineau or Caddo Lake, and you've pulled up in there. That talon doesn't reach out like the power poles do.
Right.
Those power poles, when they deploy, they reach out and then they go down, and I've gotten all tangled up in cypress knees and stuff on a tree behind me, where that talon's going straight down, and you don't have that issue.
Right.
And that would be an advantage to me
you
on
can
the
actually
talon.
take a wrench and wrench yours up manually if you have to on the talons. If they got stuck, you can actually wrench them up. They got a connection on there that you can.
And I've heard of those the power poles before getting stuck, especially in that blue mud, like on Cal. I've heard of people
My
saying they got
talons have
stuck.
done that.
I've never had that problem.
Yeah.
And not been able to just kind of bump the boat forward a little bit and then get them to raise on up. So either way, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how we ever fished without them.
It looks to me like the deciding factor is if the cost is the same.
Yeah.
And that's
what do they do? Are they comparable?
Yeah,
in
they're
cost?
they're very comparable. They're within $100 probably of each, $200 of each of them.
Okay.
Okay,
depending
then
on
I'd say
what's
whether you want
models.
10 feet or 15 feet.
That's and now with the spot lock on a trolling motor, of course now power poles and the talons, when they first came out, they were the answer to everything. Oh yeah, I'm gonna anchor down. But if you're bed fishing, you don't want to put it on spot lock on that trolling
And
motor.
keep
that
that trolling
thing's
motor
still
going.
turning
Yeah.
and blowing more water. That's where the poles really come in handy now.
Yeah.
So
Well, when I saw Rick Clunn do an interview, and he's saying the power poles have helped his fishing instead of him covering water like he was known to his history, he says, I'm putting power poles down, and I'm completely sane the area I'm in.
And then move
it
forward.
has changed the way Rick Clun fishes.
Yeah. The other bonus, too, I will say this, because a lot of guys have short garages, you know. The talons are easier because you can actually spin them and put them flat on the deck of the boat. Towards the power poles, you got to power pole them down a little bit to get under a garage. It's just a little more difficult to work with.
We're hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger. Thanks for tuning in, hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger. And this is a program dedicated to the great outdoors and making you a better outdoorsman. Sit back and enjoy the absolute best outdoors show around. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. And this segment brought to you by Despino Tire, United Rentals, the Red River Waterway Commission, and Davis Clothing and Outdoors. Carrying the brands you trust for both hunting and fishing and all things related to the great outdoors. Kent Easton from Cajun Calls back again this week. Last week, we learned our maintenance on calls. Yes. We learned how important it is to take care of the reed, the barrel, all kinds of different things that, you know, protecting them from the heat and moisture and things like that. And, you know, you just don't think about that call that's been hanging on that rear view mirror of the truck all summer long and the damage that you've done to that. Now, Kent is going to call for us this week.
And by the way, Kent, you don't need to be next to the microphone for this.
Now, wait, for anybody that's not watching this on the TV show right now, if you're listening on the radio, I gotta brag on Kent's T-shirt that he's wearing today.
Yeah, that is cool.
Sawdust is man glitter, dude. You know, we're all beating our chests like a bunch of gorillas around here.
Exactly.
You know? And
wait, need some carrot cake.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you should have been here when the good-looking ladies were here a little while ago. Okay, Kent, now you're going to start us off. What are we calling first?
Well, first of all, I'd like to talk about, you know, a duck call is a tool.
Yes.
It's a tool in your arsenal to try and attract ducks so that you can harvest them. Mike and I, we were at my shop the other day, and we were talking about, you know, it is a tool, but probably the most important thing that we have.
We're going to get you to get a little bit closer to the microphone. Probably
the most important thing you can do is scout.
Yeah.
You've got to be in the location that the ducks want to be. And I'm sure it's the same thing for deer hunting. You got to be where they're walking by.
Right.
But in ducks, probably the most important thing is be where they want to be. Decoy placement, concealment, and then, you know, of course, I want to sell these things. I want everybody that duck hunts to buy one of my calls because I think they're one of the best. But it's just a tool in the game of trying to harvest ducks. And
you can blow that call all day long in downtown Shreveport, and you're probably not going to ever cut a feather, are you?
Exactly.
Pigeon, but you ain't going to kill it up. And so I mainly use mallard duck calls. I try to mimic and sound like a mallard hen. But I also use adjunctive type waterfowl calls.
Whoa, stop. You just used a word none of us know what it means.
So I try to use other calls
that
are
a variety
that sound or mimic like other ducks that are in our area. Don't always stick with just one call. Have a couple of different types of calls. Example, a widgeon whistle, or a mallard drake whistle, or a teal whistle, because all of those other ducks, pintail whistle, they're all in our area and they fly with the ducks we harvest every year. So
can ducks get tuned in to certain calls?
No, ducks will decoy. Mike and I again was talking about this. We have some fellows we know that, to my human ears, don't sound like they're supposed to. But I have hunted with them and watched them ducks react to their calling. And so I don't know. I think you need to stay in their range and their cadence.
Yeah.
Where they go from higher to lower. But you don't need to do anything outside of their range, or you don't need to do an upward cadence, because ducks don't naturally do that.
Right.
And then another misnomer is the feed call. Okay, Mike and I don't hunt where you feed. We hunt loafing ducks, so we can hunt those every day. They're not the same ducks. And everybody thinks a feed call is tick-a-tick-a-tick-a-tick. It's not. Yeah, that's the only time that mallard ducks make that is when they're flying high and they're coming in off the front, and you can hear that before you even know they're there.
Wow.
We both looked up when you hear that. But a duck's feed call is they're going through silt to get snails and grubs and grass tubers and those kind of things. And the noses, the sound's actually made through their nose, and they cluck. They'll quack every now and then. But it's how they're filtering that food in that nose, that sound's making out of their nose. Now, where I hunt in 4 feet of water, I don't need to be going because they ain't feeding there.
Right.
Now, but I use a lot of quacks. I use a lot of cadence. I guess the best way to start out is how I get their attention. And where I hunt, I know where they're going to be coming off of the river, and at a certain point, I know I can get their attention, and often they'll come to me. And that's called a hail call. And it's a series of quacks, but in succession, that's from high to low. And it sounds like this to get their attention. I may do 2 or 3 rounds of that, and if they respond, I shut up.
Yeah.
They're doing what I want them to do.
Right.
And
Don't overcall.
We don't overcall. No, sir.
I've always heard that it was like a bridle in a horse's mouth. As long as the horse is doing what you want it to do, you're not snatching on the bit.
I don't want to scare them away. I accomplished what I want them to do. So they're coming towards me. I'm going to leave them alone.
Right.
They need to see my decoys, movement that I have on the water, and then I have to read the ducks. It was another thing Mike and I were talking about. People need to learn how to read ducks. What are they doing? And there's a certain activity a duck will do. If they're craning their neck and they're going back and forth with that neck, they're looking for something to come into. And that's the perfect opportunity where you just want to give them like a 5, 6, 8 note. They put a little squeal on the end of it. Because oftentimes ducks have food or acorns or whatever in their throat, and it high pitches that note. And so I try to be as realistic as possible.
And a lot of times there's one duck in that group that is the one that is looking.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Or when you blow, that duck will tip its wings.
Yes.
And you just forget about the rest of the bunch.
Exactly.
And you call at that one duck.
Okay.
Because if you get 1 out of 5, you've got 1 out of 5. But a lot of times when that one turns,
Yeah.
then the others
So you
will
just got to
follow.
make the sale to one of them.
Yes.
Actually, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
The rest of them may not be interested.
I don't know how many times you make that sale to one duck.
Yeah.
And he responds and he comes in. We'll oftentimes let him sit because the other ones will see he safely arrived.
Yeah.
Hear the rest of them come, and we get those.
Wow.
So, yes, sir. It's all about.
Tell me this now. Kent Eason from Cajun Calls is here. And Kent, how often does another breed of duck respond to, let's say, it is a widgeon. Will that respond to a mallard call? Will a wood duck respond to a pintail whistle?
Okay. So, widgeon hens, gadwall hens, in our area, pintail hens, they all make similar sounds as a mallard hen. Gadwalls and widgeon hens, they're a little higher, a little screechier, and you can chinch down your duck call to make that sound. But often, we will have somebody else in the blind using a whistle along with me using a mallard call, and so they may just sit there and do a widgeon. and that's a widgeon drake. And I don't know how many times I have full mallard ducks or gray ducks with a widgeon whistle.
Really?
We have a lot of green-winged teal. The
Right.
green-winged teal drake peeps. And I don't know how many times mallards and gadwall will respond.
Do
to
you
it.
make that?
I do make.
Okay.
Yes, I do make that. I make whistles, deer grunts, and duck calls. I'm just so busy with duck calls right now.
Do you have your teal call there?
I do have my teal
Okay.
call. Blue wing teal season's right around the corner.
Yes.
And this little old call.
When's
here,
it, Mike? Is it 2 weeks after
It's the
dove
week- it's the
season,
week
or the
after-
week after dove season?
The week after.
I don't
dove
even
season.
It's September the
15th to
14th to the
6th.
20th.
Okay, because
Yeah.
dove season September 7th,
Yeah.
so that means it's the
It's
this is
I
the next
looked
Saturday.
it up. It's the following week.
And so blue wing teal respond to their female counterpart with just a tap. How they do? They're a little screechy, and they'll go. And they just sit on that water, and they also do it when they're flying. And there's nothing no better than to hit that call and watch 30, 40 blue wing teals just come right down in your decoy.
At 100 miles an hour.
Yes, shooting
brakes
mosquitoes
on.
is what you're doing.
Put the brakes on. But I think the best call that you can use in your tool box is a mallard duck call, and to know when to use it, how to use it. And I'm happy to give people lessons. I have fellows all the time stop by my shop. They buy my calls. They say, hey, they don't have to be my calls. Hey, I just need a little help. I am happy to help.
So will Teal even respond to the mallard?
Oh, yeah, and
Yeah.
you can cinch
They
it
will.
down. You can cinch it.
Okay.
It's a mallard
okay.
call, just cinch down.
And there will be times on the water when you can be blowing teal hunting, blowing a teal call, and nothing, and call a duck, blow a mallard call, and they'll sometimes
They'll respond.
It's just like, will they always hit a chatterbait? No, but sometimes that's what you got to.
Yeah.
So
So
Now you're
Kent,
talking
then
out
tell
of
me
it.
this. Tell me this. If you've got a lanyard with 4 calls hanging on your neck, is one of those a wood duck call?
I make a wood duck call.
Yeah.
I'm a total believer in you got to be in the right spot for wood ducks.
Yeah.
You can use a wood duck call, but you also need to have water movement. It's my believing that you need to be in the spot they want to be, churn that water up with your leg, and hit that wood duck call at the exact time. I'm just not very successful with a wood duck.
and the wood duck, the sound that everybody tries to make for wood ducks never calls wood ducks
Wow.
because that's the whistle you hear as they're flying through.
Right.
Be alert.
Phil Robinson and them have a CD on wood duck calls, and there's pecks and clucks and chirps and stuff that I'd never heard before. But you got to be around wood ducks on the water, and if you can learn to do that, you're going to kill some wood ducks.
Well, you know
they're
what?
going to come to that.
You'll
call.
hear that wood duck as he's paddling along. You'll hear him make that call that in my opinion, should attract another wood duck.
but it's not
chirps
that
and
high.
purrs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's right. Jace Robertson probably is the best to mimic a wood duck with their call that I've ever heard. He sounds just like one.
So tell me, would you agree that just like most of us have heard, that the most important thing to do is know when to shut up?
Be on the X. Be where they want to be.
Right.
Have concealment. Know when to call and when not to call, like you said, and when to shoot.
What about etiquette? What about etiquette? Oh, yeah, I knew I was going to get there in a minute.
That's a forgotten word.
Yeah, buddy, 400 yards away is these two 13-year-olds sitting with Daddy and his brother, and they just heard a duck hunting last year, and all of a sudden, that you've got ducks working over you. How would you teach someone the etiquette? Well, I mean, how do you know when, hey, I need to give up on those ducks because those guys are winning that war?
I just do it by example. I will not call ducks over somebody else's spread. I hunt on a public lake of water. I do have to deal with other hunters. And if I see ducks are responding to them, I shut up. It's their turn. It's not my turn.
Right.
But I have my day. And they may call and call and call. But, again, the number one recipe to killing ducks is being where they want to be. And I have a place where they want to be. And so I've had a lot of hunters around me calling them until they hit their feet in the water in front of my duck line.
Okay.
And so I just try not to stir the water.
Yeah, and you have etiquettes. You have people trying to move in, and when somebody's got a good location like Kent does, you have people that get around them and they say, "Well, if I get within 150 yards, I'm going to get those ducks." No, you can do that with deer hunting. That's what I told him the other day. Deer walk in.
Yeah.
You can cut them off. You can't cut ducks off because they fly in.
They fall in.
And then they circle and they go down. And the only thing you're going to do by getting 150 yards away and blowing your duck call top of your lungs till you crap your pants is mess up everybody.
Yeah.
You're not going to get them, and you're going to scare them off.
Kent Eason from Cajun Calls, brother, thank you. Great.
Kent, with his calls, will be at the Delta Waterfowl Banquet tomorrow night in Bossier City. They're featuring his calls there this year.
Okay, if somebody wants to buy a Cajun Call right now,
Facebook, Eason Cajun Calls. Message me there, and we can take care of it.
Eason Cajun Calls on Facebook, and you got a great selection. I'm assuming, with ducks. Now, you said, you've been real busy.
I do. My custom calls are booked up for a long time, but I do have calls that are made for me off of my hand-turned calls, CNC mapping computer. It makes my calls. I still have to polish it, press bands on it, and tune them myself.
It's not custom, but it's box ready to go.
I can have it ready and tuned to your liking within 30 minutes.
Eason Cajun Calls on Facebook. Kent, thank you. I need one of those T-shirts. Sawdust is man glitter. Just got to remember
That's
that.
a cool shirt.
Hey, we're hoping that he's going to be here in just a sec on the air with us. He just won Major League Fishing's Red Crest Series. He is Edwin Evers. We're going to find out. Graph's
just stream a message.
Is on the line, hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger.
Don't let me down.
I hope that was okay. Thank you. I brought the quietest call I had.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
Man,
it was good. Real good. Matter of fact, I got a text. Great interview.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Thank you.
Hey, here at the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show, we love to eat. You just got to look at us and figure that out. So go to HUTDshow.com and click on Great Places to Eat. We know a bunch of them. Or if you'd rather just cook yourself, check out our recipe page. Now, this segment is brought to you by Seagar Fishing Line, Ranger Boats, Daiwa Rods and Reels, and Silver Star Smokehouse and Barbecue, offering the absolute best steaks and barbecue in the entire Arklatex.
Daiwa continues its innovation for 2019, introducing the new Tatula Elite PF, a pitching and flipping reel designed to pull big fish out of heavy cover, offering 2 high-speed gear ratios, 7-to-1 or 8-to-1. Still the great T-wing design on a lightweight aluminum frame. Daiwa continues to lead the way with great innovations. To see this and the entire lineup of great fishing Rods and reels from Daiwa. Stop by Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Toledo Town and Tackle, and Nichols Department Stores, or go to Daiwa.com to learn more.
And on the Primo Target hotline with us, Red Crest Cup champion Edwin Evers. Edwin, thank you so much for being here with us. I got to ask the question that everybody in America is wanting to know right now. Are your hands still cramped up?
No, I'm good. I never took a break and never got anything to drink, and that's never happened to me before fishing.
Well, nobody ever caught 987 pounds in one hole either.
And nobody ever caught, I don't know if anybody's ever caught 30 in a row. Edwin, do you do that regularly?
Are the fish still biting
No.
there? That's what we want to know.
That was fun. It was a lot of fun that day. I just, wow, is all I can say. That's a neat thing about that format. If any other angler, the last place guy that day would have pulled up on that spot, he would have passed me like I was standing still. So you're never, ever out of it, with that kind of format.
Well, it was strange to me in that. Did you see those fish in the previous period, or how did you wander? Because from what they were saying is they were having a tough time trying to get the camera boats and stuff over there to you, because it was such a shallow patch between where you were and I guess where they had left deeper water. Did you see those fish move or school or something over there?
This is what happened. It really relates to kind of where you guys are from. When I came in there, I had to get over a final beaver dam, and there's two of them I had to get over, and the other guys had, I guess, a really hard time getting over the first one. And you guys still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. Just got what. And so I got over that beaver dam, and I power poled down, and they came up schooling in front of me right off the bat that morning. I caught what I caught, but I didn't know at the time I was sitting on top of them. I got over that beaver dam, and just a little washed-out 1.5, 2-foot hole right there, and I guess I was sitting on top of them. Well, I fished all the way around the lake, and it took me the entire day with about an hour to go. I made a complete lap around the lake. And I get there to where I came in, and that's when I saw them schooling up there in front of me. And they were exactly where my boat was sitting that morning. And, man, there was a pile of them sitting right there. Just that water was draining out that lake, going over that beaver dam, and that's where they were at.
Well, the part to me, I knew you knew. You had a fish, I want to say it was 1.5 pound, 2-pound fish. You had a fich, and something that you had broken the scales. I mean, he'd weighed some last of many fish on it.
And you finally scales out.
Finally, you had caught and we're talking about another 1.5 pound, 2-pound fish, a good scoreable fish, and you just threw it over the side of the boat.
Yeah.
It was, I knew you knew then. There's no way anybody's going to be able to come close.
It really wasn't a 1.5 pound, 2-pound fish. I think it was a marginal scoreable bass, and I'd been waiting a long time. I kind of wanted to keep that school fired up. And it was going to take him some time to get the other set of scales out. So I did what's best for that fish and just released it.
Well, now, Edwin, too, the rest of the guys, they had no clue what was going on. That was the other dynamic of this whole deal.
He jumps from 40 pounds to 80 pounds.
And nobody knows it. And I'm like, how did that happen like that? Well, you out of signal range for updates? What was the deal with that?
No, he was catching them so fast as
I know the guy couldn't keep up. Yeah.
That's what it amounted to. Poor Jim, he has to write down the weight on a piece of paper and the time. So everything's time stamped. And then you go to the iPad and try to enter them. Well, the time he got it wrote down and the time wrote down, I'm reeling another one in. And he never, the boat fisher never wants to hold the angler up. So he has to have those scales zeroed and ready right there for me to hang the fish on. And also watch to make sure, we don't break our line on a bass or, have a boat landing penalty. So he can't be down in the boat working on the iPad to get him updated. So he had to wait for that flurry to die down to start entering in that iPad. Kind of a funny story. I love Greg Hackney and have the utmost respect for him as any angler. He's one of the all-time best and always will be. But we're talking that night, and he just got done congratulating me at the Champions Toast, and somebody asked him, man, how did it all happen? How did the update? And his boat official said, kind of pretty scared of Greg. Most everybody is. Do you really want this update, Greg? And Greg looked at the boat official. That's okay. how much am I ahead of third? It's kind of funny, you know, just how Greg Hackney is. And he just cracks me up, you know. And for a boat official to do that, kind of like a big no-no, because they're never supposed to show any emotion, good, bad, or indifferent. It's kind of funny. And when he was telling me that story that night, you know, at the Champions Coast.
Boat official needed a secretary. Well,
you know, that's like going out one night to a bar, turning your phone off, and staying out too late. And when you walk back out, getting your truck, you turn your phone on. And there's like 32 calls from your wife.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. That's the way the rest of the field had to. This can't be good news.
Yeah.
Well, you know, now I will say this: were you catching the first fish? Was that on a bladed jig? The first few that you caught?
That morning when I jumped into that pond, yes, I caught a couple on a bladed jig, shaky head, kind of went through everything right there, trying to catch all I could out of that first little school. Then I worked my way around that entire lake, and I caught all those flipping a pit boss. California 420 was the color, it was kind of stained water, pretty big weight, just flipping laydowns and matted grass. And then when I got back to that spot where they were really schooling in the evening, they all came on a bladed jig, every one of them.
Now, you broke one off. Did you go back with a bladed jig? Because I as I was watching, I couldn't tell if that's what you were, if you'd gone to another color or what.
Big one. That was a big one. That actually, are you talking about at the end of the day? Actually, in the middle of the day, I caught a 3-3, and I flipped back in on that same laydown, and I set the hook on, and the fish come completely out of water, and it was a 4.5 pounder, and it broke me off. I guess my weight cut my line on the previous bass, and I just retied, but in that flurry breaking one off, heck, I don't remember. That was all a blur.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Do you remember the 2-minute penalty? You remember the 2-minute penalty you got? Because that was when we first found out your hands were cramped up.
I needed that one. I just needed a little break. My heart was sweating and just needed to slow down for a minute.
Yeah, I thought he said, I ain't never been so happy to have a penalty.
That's what he said, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Edwin, I've got to confess, I haven't seen the show. I mean, Gary and Steve watched it, and I think I was working on duck blinds this weekend. So forgive me. Was this largemouth or smallmouth?
No, that's a good thing. That's important. That's super important.
Yeah, smallmouth or largemouth?
Largemouth.
Largemouth. Okay.
Everything I caught was largemouth. It's kind of funny in practice. I caught probably 70% smallmouth in the first couple rounds. I thought it was going to be all smallmouth. And rather big ones. Some of the biggest ones I've ever caught on the Mississippi River had some 4.5 pounders cranking their shell bed. And come around the first day of the tournament, I'm just blown away. I can't get any bites, and the bites I'm getting are largemouth. In the next 3 days, I did not catch a smallmouth till the very last fish that put me over Stephen Downing by 9 ounces in the knockout round. And then in practice, it was 70% smallmouth. It was crazy.
Oh, okay, so largemouth, you're jumping a beaver dam. Here's a question I got, and it's always amazed me that I think we don't know how many fish are in an area a lot of times.
Yeah.
You caught, I don't know how many fish you caught, but how big a hole was this to have had 30, 40, 50 fish in it? I mean, how big do you think this deep hole was?
It wasn't. It was at the most 2 foot deep. It was 150 yards to 3 foot water, one direction, and probably 200-300 yards the other direction.
But he was anchored down.
Okay.
To catch the 30 in a row.
I was hold down. Yes, I was.
I was like,
the water, the backwater was just funneling out over this beaver dam, and right in front of that beaver dam is where all those fish were sitting, and there was a small mat to the right of it, twice the size of my boat, and I'm assuming a bunch of those fish lived underneath that mat.
Well, Edwin, you've been on Red River before. To me, when I saw what you were doing and where you were, it reminded me of a cut off of Red River.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like something we would fish down here. I guess that's why we could relate to it. Did it set up just like? I mean, of course, it is Mississippi River, but did it set up just like it would on the Red River for you?
Without a doubt, lots of simulators in the Red River and the Mississippi River. You know, how the fish were current related, you know,
right.
Just up there, you know, obviously you got smallmouth, and you get a lot more grass. We had eelgrass and milfoil and duckweed where, you know, a lot of times, you know, last few times I've been to the Red River, there hadn't been a lot of grass, or I've been there after big floods, but It's a neat place.
Well, you have won, I mean, several key tournaments in your career. But this being the inaugural year of what we know now, is the new present form of Major League Fishing. Would you say this was the biggest win of your career?
Oh, I think being the inaugural year, yes, it's an amazing. Just I don't want to sound funny here, but I've scheduled my entire day. It's been radio interview after radio interview. I don't have a 30-minute window opening since 8 o'clock this morning till about 3:30 this afternoon of interviews. And tomorrow's the news channels here in Tulsa. It's just it's been overwhelming, the reception of it, and pretty exciting. And it's just our first year. That's kind of exciting too. I think we're going in the right direction, and hopefully can take it and keep going.
Well, if you got a few more minutes, we need to steal. I know your time is valuable right now, but we want to steal a few more minutes with you if you got time.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Edwin Evers. Of course, Edwin just won the Red Crest Cup, $300,000 payday. That's not a bad day to go stand there and just catch schoolfish.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. We are hooking up and tracking down more with Edwin here in just a sec, 11:30, The Tiger. Hey, if you happen to have missed any part of today's show, you can catch us again Saturday morning, 6 till 8, right here on 1130 The Tiger. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. This segment brought to you by Jimmy Granger's Natchitoches Ford Lincoln Mercury, Gamakatsu Hooks, Primo Targets, and V&M Baits, winning baits designed by the Major League Fishing Tour champions. And speaking of that Major League Fishing Tour, the Red Crest Cup just held this past weekend. Champion Edwin Evers is on the phone with us still. And Edwin, I mean, would you say that probably is not? I mean, I can't think. Maybe Ricky Clunn was the only person ever televised catching as many fish as what you did. I mean, I know that you don't want to pat yourself on the back or anything, but wouldn't you say that probably is the greatest flurry that's ever been on TV?
I know for me it definitely is. I can't speak for the history because there's so many things that we could be overlooking that, I sure would hate never to give credit to. But, for me, without a doubt, that was one of the best little flurries that I'd ever had in my life with a camera in the boat or without a camera in the boat. It was a lot of fun.
Well, Mike was talking just a few minutes ago about the fact that, that many fish being in that kind of a little area. What led you to feel like, hey, I need to cross these beaver dams? I mean, at what point are you like, well, maybe they're up a little shallower, or maybe they're, even shallower than this? I mean, because not only did you cross one beaver dam, you crossed two. What made you say, I got to keep going back there?
I had some history in that area. We've had some previous events on the Mississippi River right out of La Crosse, and I'd been in there before. I had some monster bags, and I always left there so mad that I didn't win. And I just knew I was going to win. You know, after practice, you don't have that happen very often in a career. You think you're going to win after practice, and I did in some previous events there, and it never happened. And so I knew exactly where I was going when I left that morning, you know, from the Onalaska Lake, and I was going to try to redeem myself in that backwater pond that I felt I should have won out of a few years prior.
I think you can check that one off your list.
Yeah, that's
you've
all.
been
That's all.
redeemed. Ding.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I hope I don't step on a toe here, but we've asked this question a bunch. There's so many things. You had some history there. You thought you were going to win a number of times. You didn't. You probably didn't think you were going to win this time. You wound up the first day on top. I mean, the first part of that morning on top of the fish. You leave, you go back, and you say, well, maybe that's it. It categorically, I don't care who you are or how good you are, it still doesn't hurt to have every day a little bit of luck going for you. I mean, I know y'all are top quality. You're the best there is, but a decision like 50-50, and you make one decision, it works out. Yes, I think everybody, when they have a great day, there's a little bit of luck to it, even if you're the best.
Yep. No, I prayed diligently the night before just to start in the right spot. And I had 3 different locations I wanted to start in, and I was fortunate that I picked the right one.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, it could have very well have been that, you know, the bad luck was when you were sitting on top of the fish, you caught 3 or 4, and maybe you dispersed the whole school. You know, you run them out, and you know, that could have been the bad luck side of things. But with the Lord smiling down on you during that particular time, you know, you came back through and you were like, you know, because we heard you say, I think earlier I was sitting on top of them. You actually said that on camera. I think earlier I was sitting on top of them. So, and that was just the flip of a coin, because it might have well have been that when you came back, you know, that you were sitting on top of where the school was.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right.
Edwin, let's kind of wrap up this Red Crest Cup. The first one, you know, it's just like in football. The most improvement is from game 1 to game 2. The next Red Crest Cup, what can we expect, and what do you expect the Red Crest Cup to evolve into over the next couple of years?
You know, I heard an analogy over the weekend that just really hit home. You know, we're flying an airplane that we're still building, and we started this thing. You know, about the idea was to get 90 guys on board, and 90 days later, we're having a whole circuit and a tournament and a championship. You know, I just think we scratched the surface with the people that are behind Major League Fishing. There's some really, really bright people from really big industries. You know, we hired the marketing lady from LSU just, you know, about 3-4 months ago. So you guys are familiar with some of that. I mean, she's going to be.
Yeah, they're kind of popular. I don't know if you've heard of them before.
Yeah. Oh, y'all going to be advertising gumbo on the show.
Yeah, she's a sharp lady now. I can't believe we got her, but I just think we scratched the surface. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see the future.
Do you know, you might be sworn to secrecy, but is there any changes that we will see as fans of Major League Fishing? Is there anything that we'll see between now and next year that you know right off, well, this is going to be a little bit different? The knockout round's going to change, or sudden death is going to be a little different. Anything along those lines?
You know, I think the whole thing's evolving. I think it's you know, and I think it would be remiss to say that we're going to make changes right off the bat. It's only a year into it. I think we need to let it play out. You know, I think the biggest change that needs to happen is already happened, that we're going to have a year now to schedule these events. You know, we were scheduling those events on any body of water that we could get on, and it just, you know, some of those events aren't on the best types of bodies of water multiple times for our format. I want to go to more places like North Carolina, where the very first fish on Sport Tractor that morning was a 7-pounder. I'll never forget it. Like 3 minutes into it, my old roommate, Jason Christie, Sport Tractor update, 7 pounds and 1 ounce. I'm like, holy smokes, we're in for a day today, you know. And we just need to schedule on the right bodies of water, right times of the year. You know, we got a year under our belt, got a little time to work going forward, and To me, that's probably the biggest change that needs to be made. We just need to go to good bodies of water at the right time of year.
Well, Edwin, with this being the first year of MLF as we know it, with the 80 or 90 guys, and that's, I think that's cool stuff. We're flying an airplane that we're still building. I think that's a great analogy. I don't want to be on that plane. I just don't. I want.
You might want to be though. This plane's going places.
No. But I want you to get all the bugs out of it and have all the crashing before I get on. And I'm speaking of the real airplane. What didn't work this year? I mean, something had to, that y'all as a group, MLF had to say, okay, we're going to do this year. And at the end of this year, you're going to say, God, this just didn't turn out the way we thought it was.
Oh, I'm going to say some of those venues, at the very last minute, they wanted to have a stage and a booth and a post-game show. We spent one event and tried to get some people to come to, and that was the final event. We had really good crowds the final 2 days. A lot of people looked at it as that it wasn't a success having crowds at the venues, but in the big picture, the television show is what we're after. And the television show hasn't even aired yet. It's going to start October 1st, on the Discovery Channel, and so like I said, it's just brand new, guys. There's lots of mistakes, lots of things we need to change, and I'm sure those guys that are way smarter than me are working on, but I know as an angler fishing in the event that it was some of the most exciting, yet frustrating, yet demanding, exhausting times throughout the year that I've ever had in my 20-year career. And I look forward to the day that all my friends and family and fans fish under the same format. Because I do know I've seen the technology. It is coming to where it'll be a lot easier for, a 30-boat club tournament or Saturday BFL to fish under that format. And I think when everybody experiences it, they're going to say, oh, it's not quite as easy to catch, 60 fish in a day, because to catch them all day long it's not as easy as it sounds. I used to be able to hide in them 5-fish formats and get lucky quite a few times and catch a big one at the end of the day, and it's only 5 bites I had all day long, So,
Not me. I'm sticking to the 3 of the 5-fish limit. That's it.
I do know one change that needs to take place, and I think you'll agree with me. I think a lot of the anglers will get together, is Aaron Martins needs to be penalized for being late in the mornings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can hear Iaconelli on the other side of the lake, there needs to be a penalty.
Oh, my goodness. I agree 100%.
Oh, and I got one other rule change. I got one other rule. At least one time, you should be allowed one time in the tournament where you can hit your marshal right in the nose. That just one time.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah, official, yeah.
Well, brother, congratulations. I mean, this is an incredible feat that you've pulled off here, and I know that your time is a premium. So I really appreciate you spending some time with us. And of course, we've given you the good luck charm now that you've been back on the show. You're going to have a successful 2020.
Without a doubt. And I can't thank you guys enough for the time on your show and also the great quarterback that you let us have up here at OU.
That was rough, brother.
I don't know what the heck he's talking about. No idea.
He's talking about Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray.
We'll see. I'm just hoping we get to go and play some of those SEC people down the road in some of them playoffs.
Well, we'll go ahead and beat Texas for you so that you're ready. We'll have them beat down by the time they come to you.
Okay, let's quit talking baseball. Let's quit that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Edwin, thank you, brother, and congratulations once again.
Great job.
And
great
we
job.
really appreciate you, brother.
And great interview.
Yeah, take care.
Edwin Evers, Red Crest Cup champion, first time ever for the Major League Fishing.
Yeah.
And here in just a minute, we're going to wrap this sucker up. It's hard to believe this show's almost over. We got some great local news going on.
Yeah, we
a couple
do.
of things we need to mention for you.
Local tournaments.
That's next. Hook it up, track it down. 11:30 The Tiger. Thanks for tuning in again. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger, and hopefully you have learned something from today's show that's going to make you a better outdoorsman. Hey, this final segment presented by Spro Lures, Nichols Department Stores, Cypress Knee Outdoors, and Bait Cloud. It's a fish attractant for both fresh and saltwater species. Make Bait Cloud a part of your tackle box. Just go to baitcloud.com to learn more.
Here's your Iowa best times to fish. This weekend is rated as excellent. That figures. I got something else to do. And that's for all 3 days, as we will be under a new moon, so the fishing could be really good. There's a slight chance of rain each day this weekend, and nobody's going to complain about that. Daytime highs returning to the mid-90s and lows in the lower 70s. Best times are going to be early to mid-afternoon. Friday, make sure you're out there fishing. 12:11 to 3:11 p.m. Sunrise is going to be at 6:50, sunset 7:41. Saturday, 1:06 to 4:06 p.m. Sunrise 6:51, sunset 7:40. Sunday, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. Sunrise 6:51, sunset 7:39. This has been your Iowa best times to fish.
And our Hooking Up and Tracking Down show, best places to eat. This week we're celebrating Maryland's Place, recently ranked #1 among Shreveport eateries. It's set in a lively space with live music, quirky, colorful decor, and lovely outdoor patio. Who says lovely outdoor patio? Did you write this?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I sure hope
Lovely
not.
outdoor patio. Maryland's Place is a delight to visit. Remember, sawdust is man glitter.
Man glitter.
Okay,
Yeah,
now
either she wrote that or he wrote that.
Let me get back to it. Started in honor of the owner's mother, this laid-back, vibrant eatery serves as a host of Cajun eats like shrimp moumalon po' boys, chicken and andouille jambalaya, crawfish etouffee. Not only is Maryland's Place a delightful restaurant, but it's also the cultural home of the community. Located at 4041 Fern Avenue in Shreveport. For reservations, call 318-868-3004. If you are a Texas hunter, fisherman, your license expires August the 31st.
Yep.
So what is that?
That's
Is it 31 days in August?
Yes, sir.
31. August
the
31st,
31.
it's over.
Yeah.
Got to get a new license.
that's Texas.
Yeah. Louisiana's was June the 30th.
Yep.
Yeah.
And another thing you want to remember, as we're getting ready, this is Labor Day weekend coming up.
Yep.
Will you?
Whoa, this is?
Yes. Yes. This is Labor Day. Dove
How
season's
long have I
not.
been asleep?
I don't know.
Dove season this year not going to be on
Right.
Labor Day weekend.
right.
It's the following weekend. Will you go to the lake on Labor Day weekend?
I will be at Beavers Bend National Park.
So no. The answer is no.
Maybe. I still might. I might.
What about you, Mike? I mean, because you got a lot of people on Labor Day that just, they're not.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I tell you what you do need to do this weekend. Don't forget the Todd Cash Memorial 3D shoot put on by the Shreveport Fire Department for raise money for muscular dystrophy in Todd Cash's name. That's going to be at the Garland Scout Ranch down just before you, in between Stonewall and Kickapoo on the right-hand side. And this year it is Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Oh, wow.
That you can go shoot. You can go down there and shoot every day, or you can shoot 3 days. They're going to be cooking hamburgers on the grill. Lots of door prizes, lots of good prizes, and a lot of they've not only have the 3D course, they got some of the shoot the floating ping pong. My son Michael's going to be down there with a cantaloupe on his head. You shoot it off the head.
All right. Go, Michael.
So it's a great archery.
Can I take
3D.
my shotgun?
Yeah. So don't forget that. And tomorrow night, the Delta Waterfowl Banquet. Northwest Louisiana chapter, Delta Waterfowl, going to be at the Bossier City Convention Center. Doors open at 5:30. Meals at 7 o'clock, I think, and sold out. 80 tables sold out. It's going to be one of the biggest ones. Going to be in the top 10, probably nationwide.
Wow. Okay, I got another question about the Todd Cash thing. If you shoot every day, or, let's just say that you shoot a couple of times one day, because they don't limit you to the number of times you shoot. No. Do they use your best score for the overall competition? How does that work? Do you know?
Don't know, but I'm going to assume yes.
Okay, good.
There's a high school fishing tournament taking place not this Saturday, but next Saturday, September the 7th on Caddo Lake. It's a high school event. Boat captains can fish, according to the rules here. No entry fee. Size limits, it's a 3-fish Fishing tournament payouts. There'll be payouts. Registration is September the 5th. First cast will be at 6:23 a.m. And, of course, there'll be a weigh-in locations. It's got a couple of different places here. We'll give you more information on that next week.
They're doing the registration 2 days before the tournament.
That's what it says.
Wow.
September the 5th.
Okay.
So,
and the tournament's not till the 7th.
Not till the 7th.
Okay.
But, so, anyway, all you high school teams, load up and head for Caddo for September the 7th.
And you got the Berkeley Big Bass Tournament coming up as well.
Yeah, that's in October. That's Bass Champs sponsors this event, the 14th annual Berkeley Big Bass Tournament on Lake Fork. First place is hourly, is $1,000 every hour. 20 places are guaranteed every hour. And so this is a huge event over at Lake Fork. And it's, again, October 19th and 20th. Entry fee is $160 for one day, $200 for both days. It's out of Lake Fork Marina, one of our sponsors.
Why in the world would you not fish both days? It's only a $40 difference in the two.
Somebody have jobs.
Maybe
Some
so.
people have
Oh,
jobs.
There's
God love them. We're
there's
gonna
not
pray
me.
for them.
And there's exact weight bonus cash for a 2.5 pounder, a 3 pounder, a 9 pounder, and a 10 pounder. So all $1,000 giveaway for each one of those. Junior divisions, women's division, just a great event. So if you're looking for something to do, you're not a big hunter yet, and which that is into probably squirrel season right there.
Bow season for
bow
sure.
Season.
Yeah.
So if you're not wanting to hunt yet, hey, head on over to Lake Fork, Texas.
And you got another one there.
Yes, we got one more. This one here is Fishing for the Souls Bass Tournament. This is September the 14th, 2 weeks from now on Toledo Bend Reservoir. Trailering is allowed. Entry fee is $180 per boat. $10 big bass. First cast at 6 o'clock. Scales will open at 2. Weigh-in will be at 3 o'clock at San Miguel Park. So this is a great event. Call Ricky Womack at 318-308-7349. That's 308-7349. Ricky Womack will be glad to take your money.
When you start looking at fall and stuff like that, as far as tournaments and stuff, do you think that you'll see a lot of people, that were fishing back during the spring and, it gets hot and then they kind of, put the boat up for a little bit? Will they start coming back out? Do fall tournaments produce anywhere near what spring tournaments do, Mike?
No, they do not. But what you've got here is we have so many tournaments, and there's so many people think that the fishing tournament is a great way to raise money, and it's not that it can't be done, but it's a tough way to raise money. But there's so many people doing it that a lot of people just have to result to the fall.
Mm-hmm. Because there's too much competition in the spring.
There are no open weekends.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a matter of this is the only time we can do it. But categorically, hands down, and we saw it with the Holy Angels, even after we got involved and the money went to guaranteed, $5,000 first place, we still couldn't bust 100.
Yeah.
It just takes a tremendous tournament, a lot of payout on a great body of water to break 100 teams after about July or August.
Now, you're going to have your championship in September on Cross
Lake.
Lake.
I've got them hog-tied. They have to be there.
They're committed.
It's not a choice. You fished 8 tournaments during the spring. You got to show up to fish for a Triton boat the last Saturday in September.
Best payout that you could imagine for that, that one day's fishing, because it doesn't matter how you finished over the course of the year. If you qualified, you're tied for first place before the tournament starts.
That's it.
One other tournament that I wanted to mention here. It's actually not a tournament. We had Scott Chafin on the show with us not long ago, and it won't be long. The North Louisiana Bar Association is going to be putting on their big clay shoot. This is going to be September the 21st, 7th year. This fundraiser is being put on by these attorneys, and those guys, and it benefits. Now, remember, he was talking about this. One of the coolest things out there. It benefits Operation Bright Holiday, and that is a Barksdale Air Force Base group. Golly, y'all should get a real pronouncer to come in here and work. That helps first-time airmen go home for the holidays, pays for their airplane tickets and everything. So that's people that are stationed here at Barksdale that might live up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, up there where Edwin Evers was.
Or they might even be at the base.
And they get to go home for the holidays. Right. So you'll want to take part in this again, September 21st. It's going to be at Las Paloma. If you've got questions about this, I think they've got a Facebook page, but you can holler at me, and we'll get you in touch with the gang that can help
and
you out on
I want to tell Scott Chafin is the attorney that we had on the air.
Exactly.
He asked us said he needed a trapper for their for beavers for their deer lease.
Oh, that's right.
And I had a trapper call his office twice. Scott, if you still need that, go talk to your secretary. She's got a phone number from a trapper.
I know that his ad agency, Ron, is probably listening right now. So
Okay.
you'll want to take advantage of that and go shoot for a great organization. Like you said a minute ago, the licenses are out for Texas this weekend.
Yep.
Labor Day weekend is on us. And, the most important thing that anybody can remember, especially that's going to be out, in the woods or on the lakes, whether you're, just recreational boating or you're fishing or whatever, just be careful. And remember, there's somebody that's going to be on the water that probably doesn't need to be on the water.
And if you plan on dove hunting this Saturday, let me know where you're going to be, so I can.
You're going to have a video camera there.
No, I'm going to call Troy Parker. I'm going to collect that Operation Game Thief money. Do not go dove hunting this Saturday. It doesn't open until next Saturday.
And again, effective September 1 of this year is the new deer hunters regulations for deer urine will be taking place. And again, if it don't have the ATA DP sticker or label on that bottle, do not buy it because it's not legal.
And Mike said that your son Michael, he was in one of the stores here recently, and he looked and all the ones that had the sticker. I mean, it was obvious.
I think they were all on the back of the bottle or something, but yes, they are marked. And I'm going to bring up something that I wanted to bring up when we had Paul on there because I made a goober mistake. I went and I went and bought stuff to plant for ducks, and somebody told me plant sorghum. It works a little better in deeper water, and so I went and I bought 3 bags of sorghum. I just went in and told Paul I need 3 bags of sorghum, and I got them. And then somebody looks it up, and you got like a 90 to 100 day period before sorghum is headed out for seed.
Right.
And you can't have a frost. That's cutting it too close. My mistake. I had to actually go back and get Paul to swap it for something that grows faster. That's something you need to know when you're planting for ducks or deer, how long it's going to take for it to head out.
Take us home, Brother Graff.
As we head into Labor Day weekend, it signals the end of summer. A lot of people will be camping and enjoying area waterways and taking in the great outdoors. It signals the start of football season. Mike's excited as fans get ready to cheer on their favorite teams. But more importantly, in 1 week, hunters will take to the fields for some good dove hunting action. While some will have better hunts than others, what really matters is that there's no better time to introduce a kid to hunting and the great outdoors.
Amen.
For Gabe McCoy, Mike Eccles, Jay Wiley, Brandon today, and yours truly, Steve Graff. Thank you for listening. Tune in next Saturday, or this Saturday, right here on 1130 The Tiger for more hooking up and tracking down.